afternoon, everyone. How are you? What a pleasure to be here with such an amazing group of women. You're all warriors, and I commend you, and I thank you. Thank you. Okay. My name is Armando Minjarez, and I'm a visual artist. I'm also a resident of Wichita, and I am immigration. Emita mentioned earlier that perhaps the immigration system is broken, and I'm going to have to disagree with her on that point. I don't think the system is broken. In fact, the system is working the way it was designed to work. What I want to propose to everyone is that perhaps by doing this more often, we can break the system and create a new one that works for all of us. So I'm here to talk to you about the economic impact of immigration in the state of Kansas. Now, I've been here in this state for 13 years, and 8 of those I've spent in southwestern Kansas, in Ulysses and Garden City. Now, where's my southwest Kansas people? They're here. Yeah! Thank you. So, I immigrated from Kansas to Kansas from Mexico with a tourist visa, and I overstayed that visa, and I became an undocumented immigrant. I am one of over 12 million undocumented immigrants in this country. And you might be thinking, well, what does an artist know about, economics and the impact we have in the economy of Kansas? Well, let me take you back a little bit to that time when I moved to Ulysses and when I officially entered the workforce of the U.S. within a week of my arrival. My first job here at age 14 was working in the milo, corn, and sorghum fields in Moscow, Setanta, and Montezuma. I sorted endless truckloads of potatoes in Lakin. I've washed dishes, cooked, and served meals at 8 family-owned restaurants. My mother has worked in 10 family-owned restaurants in Ulysses. My brothers have worked in the factory farms and oil rigs. And now, 14 years later, a lot of my high school friends have begun to open up their own businesses. Agriculture, livestock, meat packing plants, oil and gas wells, hospitality industry, entrepreneurship. Those are the areas where I know by personal experience that we have a solid economic impact. Now, economists seldom agree on things, right? But there is something where a lot of them have found a consensus, and it is about immigration. The immigration is good for the country, and it certainly is good for Kansas. So, let me give you some figures. The state alone, we have 8.6% of the workforce in Kansas, immigrants. Almost 10% of the workforce in Kansas are immigrants. Out of that, the state would lose $1.8 billion with a B in economic activity if all immigrants were removed from the state. Latino-owned businesses had sales and receipts of $1.3 billion, and Asian-owned businesses had sales and receipts of $1.4 billion. Furthermore, according to data from the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, undocumented Kansas paid $57.3 million in state and local taxes in 2010. 2010, that's 4 years ago. The population, the immigrant population has increased, therefore the tax revenue has also increased. 3.9 million of property taxes, 41.1 million in sales taxes. Now, education. 9,277 foreign students contributed 204 million to the state's economy in tuition fees and living expenses for the 2011 to 2012 economic year, according to the Association of International Educators. I was one of those foreign students. And it was then, when I was trying to go to college for the first time, that I became aware of my own power and the collective power to create change legislatively. In 2004, I joined over 2,000 Kansas at the state capitol to demand that the legislature pass the in-state tuition law that has allowed thousands of undocumented students to get a college education. In 2012 alone, 630 students enrolled in Kansas colleges and universities. But it was that grassroots effort that got us that victory, very much like we're doing today. It was taking a risk. It was knowing that we have to stick our necks out. We are in a conservative state, politically. But the people from Kansas are not conservative. Like my friends say, the people from Kansas keep it real. And we need to do more of this. I know it's risky. I know that you have to engage in conversations that are uncomfortable with your friends, with your family members, with your coworkers. But things are not going to change unless we challenge ourselves every day. So the fact is that immigration is good for the state and for the federal economy. So why are we even having to talk about the obvious? I'll tell you why. Because people like Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, because people like our Governor Sam Brownback, because of legislators like Mike Pompeo, Tim Hulskamp, and many others. That's why. And the biggest threat to the state economy as it relates to immigration is Mr. Chris Kobach. Chris Kobach is the mastermind behind the most regressive, xenophobic, and extremist legislations in the U.S. history so far in the 21st century. Mr. Chris Kobach, along with ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, have drafted, you know about him, right? If you haven't heard about it, write it down and look him up. They have drafted draconian legislations implemented in Arizona, in Georgia, in Alabama, and in North Carolina, which have devastated the economy of those states by forcing immigrants, documented and undocumented, out of those states. Now, his anti-immigrant tactics have not taken root in Kansas because of diligent work that continues to be done by grassroots efforts, but also because the state organizations such as the Livestock Association, the Farmers Bureau, the Kansas Chamber of Commerce have urged Kansas legislatures about the devastating efforts that his policies will bring to the state economy, because they know that they are dependent on the immigrant workforce. But I want to ask you, is that all we are? Commodities at the disposal of the dominant powers? Is that all you see right now up here in this podium? a disposable commodity that can never amount to anything more than a laborer because of the color of my skin and my immigrant status? The immigration phenomena is not unique to the US. This is a global trend where populations of underdeveloped countries continue to migrate to industrialized countries. And this is happening because of globalized economy and the aftermath of Western colonization. And that is a fact. It was the inception of this very country was facilitated through the colonization of Western nations. So it is our duty in this country and our responsibility to approach all of those issues that you support in your platform through the lenses of dignity and humanity. We continue to forget about the human element. We talk about the value of immigrants. We talk about the money that we bring into big corporations. We talk about the money that we bring into the pockets of politicians. But we never talk about the human being. And it's not just of immigrants, but of all women in the state, of all disenfranchised people in the state, communities of color. I'm sick and tired to continue to hear politicians, pro and anti-immigrant, to continue to use rhetoric that only amounts to our economic value. And my human value is forgotten. We are living in some of the most obscure times in human history. But this is also one of the most exciting times. We have the privilege to come together and share this space with one another and to talk about all these issues that affect all of us every day. So I want you to look around at the people on your tables. Take a second and just look around at those sitting with you. Look at them in the eyes. Find someone and tell them thank you. We have an opportunity in front of us to change the course of the world and the course of humanity. And like I said, we got to do it through the lenses of dignity, humanity, and love. And be grateful about this space. Sustainable, positive change is not going to happen through policy and election of public servants only. While that is essential to change policy and hold elected officials accountable, it's not enough. The change all of us are seeking begins with each and every one of you on the inside. It begins with a treatment of others every day. It begins when we decide to question and break down every construct that we live within. Things will change when we truly are inclusive of all people, regardless of race, gender, sexual identity and orientation, or legal status. I believe in the rule of law, but I also believe the laws can be unjust. And it's our responsibility to make sure we change them. Now, I'm not a U.S. citizen. I can't vote. Neither can my mom or my brothers or my uncle or his kids or his wife. Yet. And while I can't vote, I can certainly organize people to do so. So I want you to remember in November que sí se puede. Yes, we can. 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 Thank you.